Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Liz and this is Let's Get Lizical, where we do everything card making. Today we're going to do a shaker card and some masking, and we're going to be using the following products. This is Lawn Fawn's Say Cheese die set, which is 2 Polaroid frames in 2 different sizes, and you get like this little stitched heart. We're going to use the bigger one because we're making a shaker. You could do the smaller one as a shaker. It would just be very small. And then we're going to use one of my favorite sets from MFT, Beast Friends. If you can find it, grab it. If you have it, you're lucky. This set is so cute, especially for Christmas. This is my favorite image. This is like one of my favorite Christmas sets. And this is my most used stamp. Are you ready for Christmas sentiment? It's perfect. And then we're going to create a scene behind it with this clearly besotted set. I debated on using my Lawn Fawn one that we used the other day, because this one's actually in my to-go outs dash. I've only ever used, I think it looks like I might have used the water at one point. I don't remember what for, but I mostly used these two. So I will be using the trees in the background to stamp an image, which we'll do in the like negative space here where the picture would be taken. I've already cut the frame into green. This one's like a textured cardstock. I believe this is from a pack I bought at Walmart years and years ago. It was like bright colors. It is white core. And then one side is smooth, one side has like that linen texture to it. I thought it was just smooth cardstock when I bought it, and I didn't know it was a white core at the time because I was a newbie. So I've had this for a long time. I eventually cut these down from the 12 by 12 sheets that they were to like 8.5 by 11, I think, and I put them in with the rest of my stuff and just put the scraps in my scrap piles. And I'm trying to use those up. And then I just have this piece of white cardstock. I used it to ink blend a strip recently, I think, but the back of it is still good, so we're just going to use this half and create our scene on that. This is from a Studio Light paper pack I bought a few years ago. I don't think it's available anymore, but use whatever you have. This is going to be perfect for this cute little guy here. Normally I would color his lights in like standard light colors, which is like red, orange, yellow, green, and blue, but I think I will color them in the pink, red, and the 2 shades of green just to match the background. And I might try to keep this a little bit more on the more like vintage looking side, just so that we keep the colors similar. So I'm going to try to use colors that are a little bit more desaturated when I'm coloring the background for these. But yeah. So we will make this into a shaker. So I also have acetate off to the side here and some shaker bits. I have the Simon Says Stamp unicorn confetti. I used to have a huge container of this that I bought at Walmart, and it was like a big thing. But I used it up, I think, a long time ago. It's basically the same, just iridescent confettis. So we use that, and I might add in a couple of these bling stars from Michaels. It's just like holographic little stars. I try not to add too many, especially with these two, because they are a little bit more on the staticky side, so they might cling to the acetate. I'm going to try to use my anti-static powder on that to see if it will help reduce that, because I don't want them sticking to it as much as possible. And we won't add like a ton of it, but it will be like a fun shaker. So yeah, I will do that now, and you guys can watch me do that while I talk through it. Hey guys, voiceover Liz here. So I do have 2 other cards that I want to make in this same style. So I will make sure I post those over on my Instagram and Facebook. I'll try to post them as well on the YouTube community tab where like you can put pictures and stuff, just because I know that some of you don't have Instagram and or Facebook, so I can definitely post on YouTube as well for those of you who don't have those social media apps, and that way you're also not missing out. But I do have a couple of others I want to do with this, so I'll try to post on Monday if I can get them done. I have all the stuff ready to go. I just need to make the cards. But I want to do one with Mama Elephant's llama set with the sweaters and stuff. I don't remember what it's called, but I'll be sure to list it in the description when I do it. But it's going to be super cute. I think that one will probably be my favorite. Like, I do love this one. It's very vintage, as I mentioned before, with like the color schemes and stuff. And I like that I coordinated the lights on this one to match the lights in the background pattern paper. Because if I had done them in like the rainbow colors that they're normally in, it might have looked a little off when you compare it to the background. So it's good to coordinate your images with your pattern papers as much as you can, and make it look like it's part of the same kind of collection, I guess. And then I have another one where I might like die cut some poinsettias because I have some pattern paper from another paper pack that I had used up, and I would like to also try that. So maybe instead of having an image inside, I will like put, I don't like a pattern paper on the inside of the Polaroid or something, and or leave the background paper visible, which is another idea. Maybe I'll do that as another option. And then I would die cut like a poinsettia to put on the outside of it. So I will post that at some point as well. But I will get around to doing both of those at some point. And then for the lights, I've shown this before, but when I color the lights, I like to color the lights with my alcohol markers, and then I'll just grab like cheap pencil crayons, like the Crayola ones I have there, and just kind of like lightly color a circle around each light bulb so it makes it look like it's glowing. And then I take a white gel pen or a white paint marker and just put one tiny little dot into each light bulb so it acts as like the filament of the light bulb on the inside and makes it look a little bit brighter. So those are just like options, because I don't normally like shade the light bulbs themselves because they're just so small. So this is the way that I would give it more dimension. And then to do the background, because we are masking off the character, I wanted to make this one layer. I didn't want to like cut them out and put them in separate, because the shaker bits might get caught in the edges of the image if you're putting it inside the card. So a lot of the times when I do shakers like this, I like to keep it as a one layer. I already had a mask cut out for that because I've done this technique with this image before, probably on multiple cards. And I just keep that mask with my set. It's just stamped on a post-it note, so just the top of it sticks. But as long as you have something that covers the image, you're good to go. So I just keep that in there, and then eventually I might have to replace it, like if I stamped on it too often. But because I don't do it like together, like I know if you like stamp multiple of these at one time, like the ink might soak through and you might have issues with ink bleeding through your post-it note. But I think because I only use it like one time every so often, like it's okay to keep using the same one. And it kind of actually also lets me place the trees in a somewhat similar position, because I usually try to place them so that there's not any like tangent lines or anything. Like I try to make sure I'm putting my images in the correct spot. So it does help me kind of line it up. I did have to shift it over a little bit because of the position in my Misty, and I didn't want to move it over. I was just too lazy. I have a grip mat in my Misty, and I don't use it very often for, you know, what it's for, to grip the images or your cardstock or whatever in there and keep it in place. Because a lot of the time I just like to stamp on a rectangular or square piece of paper, take it out, color it, and then put it back in and restamp it. So doing these types of techniques, if I was going to do it so that it wasn't butted up into the corner, like I would have to do it on the grip mat and then color it in there so it didn't move, because I wouldn't trust that I would put it in the exact same position because it's not in the corner. So it's a little bit harder to line up. For the background here, I colored it with alcohol markers. It is a little splotchy, I think. It does kind of, you know, blend together eventually, but I think if I was going to do this background again, I would make another mask for the trees themselves and then just kind of mask off both the Yeti and the trees and just probably ink blend, just because it gives you a bit smoother of a finish, but at the same time, it's in a shaker. You're not going to really pay attention too much, and these markers will like kind of bleed into one another, so they will even out a little bit, but it still might look a little splotchy when you're using alcohol markers, because if you keep going it around in some areas, it just makes it darker in the areas where you're going over it so much. So it could add a little bit of texture. If you're okay with that, you can leave it. If not, I would suggest making a second mask and then ink blending the background just for something smoother. You could do the same with the ground. You could maybe just go around the edges a little bit to give it a little bit of shadow. But I decided just to add the shadow under the trees a bit, just with like a little bit of the light blue that I normally use for snow, just to make it look cool but not dirty. Because I find sometimes when you use gray markers, it makes the snow look dirty. So doing it with a very light blue gives it that cool tone look to it without having to use gray all the time, and it just kind of brightens it up a little bit too. Generally, I would use cool grays, so it's not as bad. If you use warm grays, it is definitely going to make it look dirty. I did use warm grays on the Yeti because I tend to use warmer grays on things that have fur. So Yetis, wolves, whatever, you know, bears can be gray as well, I guess. And then just to, you know, complete the winter scene, I am adding some controlled snow here with my acrylic paint. I think I need to stop putting this on my block. It does come off. Like, I usually let it dry and then kind of scrape it off. It's not damaging my block at any point. But I just like need so little of it that I should just squeeze it onto a piece of cardstock and then just recycle it after. Just so that there's less cleanup. But anyway, I'm going to put on the acetate now. I am going to line this up in my Misty after, which you'll see. I find it easier to line up, especially since I already lined up the frame against the edge of the cardstock that I colored. So I know that it's going to sit in that very corner. If you wanted to, you could cut the panel before coloring to the exact size of the background if you want, but I just decided to do it this way instead. And I'm just adding the scrapbook.com 1/8 inch foam tape around the frame, and then the bottom I'm going to add extra strips just for stability. I think my other foam tapes are different thicknesses, so I just decided to use the same one across just so that it stays even. So here I am putting it in my Misty. I had to take out my grip mat, which I don't love doing because it's just so sticky, which is why I prefer not to do this sometimes, but I just like think to get it lined up perfectly that I just needed to do this. And then I'm scooping out the confetti and then a couple of the holographic stars just to fill in. I did use my anti-static powder, but it still sticks to the acetate a little bit. You see here, the more you shake it around, I find the less it does it. So I just kind of like knock it around and just play with it for a bit. And I even did it off camera after filming, and it's a lot better now. So I feel like, again, the more you shake it around, the less staticky it's going to be. And then for the backing here, if you want, you can trim it a little bit closer to the foam tape. Like, I just trimmed it flush with the edge of the Polaroid, but if you look at it on the side, you can kind of see where I've colored around the edges, like very slightly. It's not how you're meant to look at the card, so it doesn't bother me that much. But if it's something that would bother you, either color edge to edge, because I know in like some of the edges I went all the way to the sides, but I didn't go all the way to the top. So like the top is kind of like white, then the left side is blue, and you can kind of see it a little bit again if you're looking at the card from a different angle, but that's not the way it's meant to be looked at. So I don't care as much, but if you want, you can use a pair of scissors and kind of like trim at a slight angle underneath just to get it closer to the foam tape. And then you won't have that problem. Anyway, that's our card for today, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know your thoughts. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe because I'd love to have you here. Follow me over on Instagram and or Facebook if you have it, for additional content. And I will be back again next week for another video. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and until next time, thanks guys, bye!